about this topic, which is decolonizing Indian history. Is it really all rhetoric that we've been talking about since 2014 that we need to decolonize it, or have we seen some reality? Where do we stand as far as this topic is concerned? So can I please start with Meenakshi ji and then follow with Jaisai and then Ali? Thank you.
Yeah. Decolonizing Indian history. It's not all rhetoric. A lot still remains to be done, but certain significant steps have been taken. They have not been taken by any government body or organization or institution. What has happened in the last decade is that a couple of independent scholars have written major books that have contributed to decolonizing the Indian narrative. Books by Jaisai Deepak, Vikram Sampath, and others. And I may also include myself in that. And these books, they're also important because they have not been popularized through government channels. Social media, the internet, has played a very, very important role in popularizing these works. So avenues which are state-sponsored still remain closed. A lot of the work of rewriting Indian history remains to be done, but certain important steps have been taken by individuals in their independent capacity.
So you feel that we have a little bit of reality, or is it not
yes.
all?
No, reality is very much there.
Okay, so out of 100, how much is rhetoric and how much is reality?
Reality is about 30%.
30%. Okay. Jaisai?
So, let me start by first of all...
I think you're...
Yeah. So let me first of all start by thanking the organizers for giving me an opportunity to share a space with a living legend such as Dr. Meenakshi Jain, and who's a Padma awardee at this point. And congratulations to you, ma'am. I think among the few things that the government has got right, this has to be one of them. Finally recognizing people whose recognition has been long due. So to build on what Dr. Jain has just presented, the fact that there is not much government support in this particular department is proof of the fact that it is more about reality than rhetoric. Although it's not an intended consequence, that is the unintended consequence of lack of state support. That's one. And what it also indicates, according to me, is that the society is tired of waiting for the state to take cognizance of this particular issue and is therefore saying, well, we will produce our own scholars. And let the scholars subject themselves to the scrutiny of the larger audience, as well as to the guardians of scholarship. And to a significant extent, I would believe that the Indic stream of thought has managed to prove itself on the annals of both scholarship as well as large-scale public acceptance. So it's not as if people have dumbed down facts and scholarship to be able to reach out to a wider audience, nor have they chosen to limit themselves to the ivory towers of academia. So there's a fantastic balance that they have struck between scholarship and, let's say, mass outreach, so to speak. So that's point number 2. Point number 3, I think the fundamental question which keeps coming back over and over again is, why is history such a battleground? Well, because history continues to feature in all our current day discussions on every aspect of policy. And second, why is decolonizing history so important? Because there is a recognition across the board. Of course, there are still certain islands which continue to believe that they are the sole guardians of this, and who believe that all of that is happening is merely revisionism. This is not revisionism. And nobody is rewriting something by manufacturing something. The best part of what we have all learned from giants such as Dr. Jain and others is that you go to the primary source as much as possible. You build it on the basis of credible citations, just as any other engineer or a scientific professional would do in the realm of science. So while you can't compare history and arts with the science in entirety, the rigor in that approach can be replicated here to try and prove as much as possible through facts. A popular mythologist has made a distinction, although I disagree with him on almost everything else. The distinction between facts and truth is something that I certainly believe in, which is to say, you present the facts as much as possible. The entire picture that emerges by way of reality or truth, that's for the readers to understand and assimilate. So in that particular department, I believe that decolonizing Indian history is extremely crucial because we are currently living in an age of weaponizing a certain notion or version of history, which is coming back to haunt this particular civilization's independent and native consciousness. So according to me, this is not the pastime of the well-fed. This, according to me, is not, let's say, the pet peeve of the wine-tasting elites of Lutyens. According to me, this is a critical civilizational imperative. And the best part is, most of the current crop of, let's say, academics and scholars such as Dr. Vikram Sampath and others who have come about are practitioners of this particular subject who have made a conscious switch to this particular stream from diverse streams such as engineering. And we all come from very normal, humble backgrounds as much as possible. So it's not as if there is someone behind us to basically say, beta jaake kuch bhi kar lo, main hoon piche. So nobody has the luxury of dabbling in a certain profession which does not exactly have a fantastic return on investment. Clearly that shows that the society has awakened. So there are two aspects. The society has started producing options in terms of scholarship which are stellar. And two, it is also willing to consume it, critique it, criticize it, and build on it. So our success, according to me, is not just a function of our individual talents. It is a function of the society being ready to consume this. Just as the society has produced a Narendra Modi, it has also produced a Vikram Sampath, it is also producing Dr. Jain, it has produced public intellectuals such as you. So I think it's a reflection of the times that we live in. And the dying need, the society is basically saying, we need alternative versions and alternative voices. I think that's what we represent.
Wonderfully put, but as I asked the same question to Meenakshi, I ask it to you as well. Out of 100, how much do you think is right now at present reality and rhetoric?
Perhaps I'm slightly more optimistic in my opinion, simply because Dr. Jain has seen, let's say, a much more morbid past in terms of how people have been treated. Yeah. And therefore, I have the luxury of being much more optimistic. And I believe that we are at least 60% real, right. And there's about 40% rhetoric. Right. The rhetoric typically is in the realm of those people who are trying to use it for certain gains. But the reality, according to me, is 100% on the part of those who are trying to actually work on it from the point of view of depth, vision, and scholarship. So I would say, on the academic front, it's at the very least 70 to 80% real, and maybe 20% academic. But those who are outside of it, and who want to see something come out of it for other uses, so to speak, political uses, so to speak, perhaps the split there is 50-50.
So that's very encouraging. I mean, I'll hold on to those thoughts. I'll come back to that.
Right.
This split between rhetoric and reality. And I'll also ask you whether that percentage or split has changed since